Well, hi there and welcome back to Leading Learning Moment. We're going to pick up our conversation that I started last time in discussing our PLC Commitment to Learning Pyramid. It's a framework that I believe can really help your campus PLCs become more vibrant, be more effective in helping students and help grow your teachers. Remember we talked about last time, we really look at it as two rails, effective PLCs and a professional collaborative culture grows students as well as it grows your students and staff on your campus. So let's talk a little bit about what we mean by professional collaboration, or in this case, collaborative professionalism. And collaborative professionalism is a term or a phrase coined by Andy Hargreaves and his colleague Michael O'Connor last year in a research report put out by the WISE Foundation. And in that, they took a look at all of these high-functioning PLCs from are really collaborative teams from around the world. And in that, they determined that there's a shift that needs to take place beyond just being a professional collaborator, which is what happens in a lot of PLCs, but actually flipping that around and thinking about collaboration in terms of collaborating as a means to grow and improve the profession, but also then collaborating because we are professionals and because that's an expectation that we should do. I want to put a slide up for you here that helps you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about when I say collaborative professionalism. And in that, it's so important to understand we need to have a good idea of collaborative professionalism because it really is what defines the work and values of those that are engaged in the day-to-day interactions of a PLC. I want you to think of collaborative professionalism as this normative process that seeks to change the behavior and the attitudes of those who are engaged in collective work on the campus. So collaborative professionalism is about how people collaborate more professionally while also working as a profession more collaboratively. Again, as I mentioned before, it's the fundamental shift that needs to take place in the thought practices and the work experiences that happens within most PLCs. So as you look at this chart, I want you to think about PLCs. They can be more effective and ensure the success of every student when there is a shift in the purpose and the focus of what's happening in that PLC. And in this case, if we kind of look at these fundamental descriptors that happen in a collaborative professional environment, we need to have professionalism that involves good judgment and values accurate and effective data, that's professional and respectful dialogue is happening. Not just a discussion of things that are happening, but a dialogue that's deep, rich, and meaningful. There's also thoughtful feedback. This kind of feedback is sometimes painful, but most of the time should be helpful and should allow educators to be better at meeting the needs of their students, but also allow them to grow and build trust among each other. And then also there needs to be this development of a collective responsibility for each other's results, both the staff and the students. And so I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I mean by collaborative professionalism. It's much different than just showing up and okay, hey, let's look at lesson plans, let's look at student data, let's see where kids are doing well, what are you going to try to do next, and move on. It's a deeper dialogue, it's a deeper process, it's much more about trust and relationship and really this collective ownership. The last little piece I want to mention is something Andy Hargreaves talks about, and that is collective inquiry. Again, I'm going to put another slide up that helps you understand the importance of collective inquiry. And in that, collective inquiry is really, or collaborative inquiry, is really this notion that effective PLCs have this relentless pursuit of equitable approaches that support all students. Really, fundamentally, what collaborative inquiry is about is assuming and owning this moral imperative that student success and really our colleagues' success is a collective responsibility. So more than anything, the team embraces this inquiry stance as the fundamental approach to the craft of teaching. And so I wanted to bring up collaborative inquiry a little bit for you because that really is what should define the day-to-day workings of a PLC that's functioning at a very high level. Now, I hope that I gave you a little bit of an idea about collaborative professionalism, I want to point you to another resource. I have a blog that kind of goes along with these videos that I put out. And in that blog that I just put out, I go into much more detail about how you can implement collaborative professionalism on your campus and in your team. I also want to address, some of you may be listening to this going, Chris, this is great advice, but what if I have a team that doesn't like to collaborate, or I have some individuals around me that are pretty adverse to that? Well, I have some, on that blog, I have some ideas and some tips, 7 or 8 points that can help you sort of make that shift to embracing collaborative professionalism. And then also, if you're a leader, if you're responsible, whether you're a team leader, a campus leader, a district leader, I've also got some advice and some ideas for how you can begin to model collaborative professionalism for your staff. You do that by being a collaborative leader, and in that I point to some work from Peter DeWitt, who has a phenomenal book out called Collaborative Leadership that really can help you with that. And so in that blog post, you'll see the information here at the end of this video. You can go over to my blog and go into much more detail about how you can begin to develop collaborative professionalism on a day-to-day basis in your campus. So I hope that this was useful to you. I hope it kind of piqued your interest into what collaborative professionalism is. Next time we come together, we're going to talk about the second piece of those deficiency needs that need to be met, and that is your collective response. How do we respond to students when they're struggling, or how do we respond to students when they're doing really well? We've got to take care of those two things before we can really be a thriving and high-performing PLC. So I hope you'll join me next time as we take a look at collective response. Thanks again for coming over and listening to this Leading Learning Moment. We've got other Leading Learning Moments on my YouTube page that you can watch and help you. If you need an overview of that framework or the pyramid, feel free to click on that one and enjoy that video as well. I hope to hear from you soon. Be sure to give comments and feedback, whether it's on my blog or my YouTube page or the Facebook page. I'd love to interact with you and talk about how can we support and grow the PLCs on your campus to be more effective for students and for your teachers. Have a great day.